Nowadays, almost anything can be tailored, made, or customized to fit a specific person. Clothes, like suits or dresses, can be tailored or made with your specific dimensions. Sports equipment like skates, helmets, and mouthguards can be made to fit their athletes. Cars can be customized to satisfy a customer's likings. When it comes to healthcare, personalized medicine is becoming the latest trend.
But what exactly is personalized medicine? Personalized medicine is defined according to the National Cancer Institute as a form of medicine that uses information about a person's genes, proteins, and environment to prevent, diagnose, and treat disease. Using both the genetic information of a patient and the disease, a diagnosis and treatment can be made. It is a new approach in managing the health of a patient and the creation of new therapies that result in the best outcome in managing or even preventing the patient's disease. It can be summarized in the expression, the right medicine to the right person at the right dose at the right time.
The concept for personalized meds is not new. It can be dated back hundreds of years ago. However, the concept grew in popularity in the 19th century as advancements in chemistry, histochemistry, and microscopy helped scientists discover causes for diseases. Midway into the 20th century is when they started to notice how drugs can affect a variety of people in different ways, setting off a branch of research for pharmacogenetics. Yet, it was not until the 21st century that the idea of personalized meds became a practice with the sequencing of the human genome. Furthermore, the growth in genomics, computational biology, medical imaging, and regenerative medicine has played a huge role for scientists in creating tools for personalized diagnosis and treatment. One of the first examples of personalized meds is the use of the drug called Kalydeco to treat patients with cystic fibrosis, but only patients with the G551D genetic mutation, which only accounts for 4% of cases, whose genes cannot properly regulate salt and water in the body. For these specific patients, Kalydeco helps by fixing the functioning of the protein that was created by the mutated gene. When treated, salt and water can properly flow over the lungs and stops the buildup of mucus. There are many reasons as to why this event is so interesting. First of all, this was the first instance where the drug used the cause of the disease instead of the symptoms to try and treat it. Also, this event demonstrated the use of genomic science and how it helped scientists find out why the protein fails and how to fix it. Then, after specific genetic tests are done, they can figure out specific patients that would respond positively towards the drug.
Personalized medicine promises to improve the treatment decisions to help cure patients with chronic or life-threatening illnesses through genetic testing. As a result, Canada currently spends $200 billion on personalized medicine, showing how it may be the solution to rising costs of healthcare. For example, in 2010, Canada spent 58% of its healthcare budget on chronic care and chronic diseases. The cost would greatly decrease if high-risk individuals were identified and received early diagnosis and treatment, benefiting both the economy and the lives of others. Additionally, many practices in prescribing medicine are inefficient as they consist of a test and react practice. The practice relies on the reaction of the patient, yet some patients don't react to the first dose of medication. For example, only 62% of patients responded to SSRI antidepressants, and 25% of patients respond well to cancer drugs. Finally, there are many negative responses to drugs that occur. Approximately 20,000 cases are reported yearly in Canada, costing from $13.7 to $17.7 billion and causing 10,000 to 20,000 deaths. Although personalized medicine is the future of healthcare, there are many limitations and issues that are present. For starters, provincial policies and programs make access and delivery of therapies inconsistent. Every province varies in available resources, policies, and some regions have higher rates of illness such as cancer. Also, Canada requires more information on personalized meds and more strategies must be in place to increase the understanding of the testing, coordination, and delivery of the medicine. Furthermore, certain treatments such as new cancer targeting therapy can be costly as they cost hundreds of thousands of dollars per patient. Additionally, funding is required for the target drug and to run tests for these drugs and the quality assurance for those tests. However, some provinces lack resources for evaluating and approving genetic tests and a test-specific medicine, urging hospitals to make the decision on offering genetic tests. The problem is that the province does not reimburse hospitals for their genetic testing and services, forcing hospitals to work with their given provincial funds.
Medical practices are continually being improved upon through technological and scientific advances. Furthermore, researchers are continuing to work on the 100,000 Genomes Project, which will help immensely in researching the future development of illnesses and creating new diagnoses to diseases and to discover new cures.
Alright, so we have 6 patients who all have cystic fibrosis who all go to see the same doctor and are all prescribed the same antibiotic. A week later, half the patients are cured. But what about the other half? Well, they book another appointment with the doctor and are prescribed an expensive anti-inflammatory drug. 1 week later, only one of the 3 are treated, and the other 2 are left to see the doctor for a 3rd time. Finally, the doctor tries one last drug that reduces the amount of salt in sweat, Kalydeco. A week later, both the patients are cured.
On the other hand, with prescribed medication, a pool of patients first get tested for their genetic builds to assess which drugs will have an effect on the patient. With the process of elimination, they determine which drugs don't have any effect on each build. This method efficiently saves drugs and money from being wasted on patients where it will not produce results.
Even though much more research is required, the future is nearing us, and we can expect to see the various new mechanics of personalized medicine soon. Biotechnology is advancing at an astonishing rate, which provides extraordinary perspectives for our generation. By studying one's genetic anatomy, their body protein, and the environment around said person, personalized medicine can diagnose the patient, treat such disease, and also prevent the disease from happening from the get-go. Although the notion of personalized medicine is nothing new or recent, what's surprising is that only recently have researchers begun experimenting in attempts to make personalized medicine a reality rather than preserving the thought as a dream. Overall, implementation of personalized medicine will result in a substantial jump forward within our healthcare system.